Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. Some things lose their power the moment you speak them aloud. You believe telling will lighten the load, but not everyone who hears you is worthy of holding what you carry. There is a dignity in discretion. There is an economy to what you reveal. Before we go deeper, if this voice feels like a safe place for you, subscribe now. Let this channel be the quiet return you come back to when the world demands explanations. The first thing you must never speak of is your next move. You are planning, shaping, testing the edges of who you will become. When you announce those plans too early, you scatter the very force that will make them inevitable. Words are a kind of currency. They spend momentum. Each explanation to the wrong person is a small withdrawal against the account of your future. People respond out of their fears, their comforts, their limited imagination. They parcel out advice like candy, not accoutrements for a fate you've yet to earn. Move in silence, tend the seed alone. Let the result be the proof that finally speaks where your silence kept guard. There is a psychological truth to this. When you verbalize goals, your brain can mistake the telling for progress. The premature taste of success dulls the appetite for the work. Retain the hunger. Let your actions gather until the harvest is undeniable. The second thing you must never speak of is your private pain. Wounds are not props. They are not narratives to be performed for sympathy, nor are they trophies to be raised for validation. Pain, when given to the wrong ears, is reshaped into a story that no longer belongs to you. Some listen to repair with platitudes. Some listen to measure their own misfortune against yours. Some listen to later retell the sadness as a spectacle. Your hurt deserves witnesses who can hold, not editors who reframe. Solitude is not abandonment when it is chosen for protection. There is an alchemy in grieving quietly. Sorrow transmutes into wisdom when the work is done without the weight of an audience. If you must speak, seek a sacred witness, a trained listener, a tender friend who has proven steadiness, a counselor whose silence is a practice of care. Do not mistake the relief of saying for the restoration of being. Restoration prefers the slow, careful language of ritual, not the quick relief of exposure. The third thing you must never speak of is your finances. Money is energy, and energy draws attention. Announcing your gains invites admiration and appetite in equal measure. The same person who praises your abundance will one day rationalize why they deserved a share. Keep your earnings like a private garden. Invite only those who will help tend the soil, not harvest it. Modesty about money is not humiliation, it is stewardship. When you keep your financial life quiet, you shield your freedom. You refuse to convert abundance into performance. Teach your children the language of stewardship rather than spectacle. When you display wealth as validation, you hand others permission to evaluate and to intrude. Protect your ledger. Let your generosity be measured by quiet acts, not public claims. The fourth thing you must never speak of is the inner architecture of your relationships. Love is confidential. Intimacy is an economy of small things, private jokes, rituals at dusk, unfinished sentences that only two people can finish. When you expose these to the public, they become artifacts on display, fragile under strangers' hands. Performative affection is a counterfeit of true devotion. The world loves a story and will narrate yours according to their hunger for drama. Protect what is between you and your beloved. Let arguments be negotiated in the room where consequences will be felt, not on feeds where verdicts are delivered by those who do not pay the price. Counsel, when necessary, should be sought from a witness who honors discretion, a therapist, a trusted elder, a confidant who has proven their capacity to hold. Not every friend is equipped to mediate the weather of your heart. Teach the people around you the difference between curiosity and entitlement. You can love publicly without explaining privately. The fifth thing you must never speak of is your good deeds. If kindness requires an audience to be recognized, it has already been exchanged for applause. True generosity is anonymous and steady. It does not require praise to be meaningful. When you announce your giving, it becomes a transaction rather than an offering. The humble gift, the secret payment, the hand extended without expectation. These are acts that build character and community without asking for currency in applause. Quiet compassion preserves dignity for both giver and receiver. The world will notice in time if it must. Otherwise, let the echo of your kindness be an interior return that needs no ledger. The sixth thing you must never speak of is the full inventory of your doubts. Doubt is natural. It is part of the way we process change. But not every ear is capable of carrying a questioning heart. Some people will use your uncertainty later as proof that you were always less than you appeared. Others will offer quick solutions that are prescriptions of their own fear. Preserve your fog until you can see the shape of your way through it. Share parts of it with mentors who have earned the capacity to hold a messy process, not with crowds who prefer tidy conclusions. There is an art to being between things. It is the grace of moving without a map. When you speak the heat of your confusion to those who will weaponize it, you give others the script to rewrite your future. Keep your questions as private laboratory experiments. Iterate in silence until the hypothesis is strong enough to stand in daylight. The seventh, and perhaps most delicate thing you must never speak of, is the rawness of your spiritual experiences. Revelations arrive as private gifts. They land within you to awaken, not to be parsed into talking points. When you rush to explain a sacred encounter, you thin its nectar. Not every listener has the ears for the ineffable. Some will reduce what you felt into opinion, others will demand proof you cannot give. Let the first blush of awakening settle into your life until it is embodied. Embodiment outlasts argument. Life lived from revelation is the most persuasive sermon. Life justified by words alone is a fragile myth. Teach by presence. Let your transformation be the quiet proof of a truth that language cannot contain. At the heart of these 7 keepings is a single principle, the preservation of dignity. When you choose silence, you are not hiding, you are stewarding. You are deciding how and when your story will be told. You are practicing the art of containment in a culture that mistakes exposure for intimacy. Containment protects not just the thing you withhold, but the self that holds it. The person who respects their own privacy will be less likely to barter their inner life for attention. When you withhold, you require the world to prove itself trustworthy before it is given your interior. That is not rigidity, that is wise discretion. There are practical rituals that help you practice protective silence without turning inward in fear. Keep a private journal that no one reads, a place where you can speak without consequence. Use it to test the shape of your thoughts, to name your fears, and to let the rawness cool into meaning. Create a small list of confidants, 2, perhaps 3, who have shown consistent steadiness. Distribute your confidences according to capacity. The person who can hold your grief may not be the one to hold your business plans. Practice phrases that preserve boundaries without cruelty. I'm not ready to discuss that, or that's between us, or I'll tell you when I'm ready. These are sentences of sovereignty. Say them as a practice. Model them in low stakes so you can rely on them when the stakes become high. Learn to make your silence generous. When someone asks for the detail you will not give, respond with warmth, not a slammed door. I appreciate your concern. I'm handling this in my own way, is a sentence that closes the conversation while honoring the relationship. There is dignity in a gentle deflection. It maintains connection while protecting the substance of your inner life. The goal is not isolation, but selective intimacy. Consider the boundaries you will teach. Teach them with consistency. If people are used to being invited into every chapter of your life, your refusal will initially feel like withdrawal. Stand like a tree that keeps its fruit for those who climb rather than throwing it to the crowd. Boundaries are not punishments. They are clarifying agents. They tell the world what is possible and what is not. They educate people about your capacity and their role in your inner economy. Another practical habit: celebrate privately as often as you can and publicly only when necessary. The loudness of public celebration can attract voices that would diminish what you have done. Private celebration allows you to taste the victory away from the need for external validation. It's a ritual of honoring yourself and the work itself, not the witness of others. We should attend to a common objection now. You might say, but sharing helps me heal. This is true, but the question becomes, with who do you share? The act of speaking can be therapeutic, yes, but the listener matters. A safe listener is one who can sit with your pain without offering a quick fix or a story about themselves. A safe listener is trained in bearing without broadcasting. If you cannot find such a person, a private journal or a therapist is wiser than a social feed. Share to heal, not to be healed by applause. There is also wisdom from deep psychology that supports selective speech. Carl Jung taught that the unconscious holds parts of ourselves not yet ready for daylight. When we cast everything into public light before integration, we risk scattering those fragments into interpretations that are not ours. Integration takes time. Naming prematurely invites confrontation with shadows before we are equipped to hold their consequences. Keep your inner discoveries until they are assimilated into the architecture of your being. Real-world studies also suggest a pragmatic benefit to discretion. People who sustain momentum in creative work and entrepreneurship often keep personal details private. They avoid distraction, protect their energy, and reduce the number of people tempted to alter their trajectory with free counsel or unsolicited involvement. Privacy, then, is not merely spiritual, it is strategic. Pause with me now. Breathe. Let this idea rest behind your sternum, that protective silence is not cowardice, but courage. Pause. Feel the steadiness it brings. When you stop explaining, your energy gathers. When you stop oversharing, your spirit consolidates. There is power in containment. There is freedom in not answering every invitation to exposition. If you want to put this into practice tomorrow, try these small steps. First, identify one thing you will not speak of this week. It might be a plan, a saving, a private hurt. Practice holding it without needing to tell. Second, when asked about that thing, say calmly, "I'm not ready to share that." Third, keep a short list of 2 people you can confide in. Rotate the confidences so no one bears everything. Fourth, celebrate in private at least once this week. Cook a meal for yourself, light a candle, write a letter to the future you, and seal it. These rituals teach restraint. Now, a gentle caution: people will sometimes insist on penetrating your privacy under the name of help or love. Beware those who demand details as proof of loyalty. Authentic care asks what you need, not transparent accounts of your struggle. If someone uses their concern as permission to interrogate you, they are not offering sanctuary. Offer them the truth about your boundary and then hold it. Let us return to the idea of witness. A good witness holds what they cannot fix. They do not narrate your experience, they sit with it. They are steady. They do not require your immediate explanation to affirm your worth. Cultivate those witnesses slowly. Notice who remains when you do not perform for them. Those who stay in your silence are the people who deserve to hear what you finally choose to tell. There will be moments when silence will feel like an inadequate response. When you long to be seen, to be heard, to be known, that longing is human and holy, but temper it with discernment. Ask, will saying this change the outcome? Will telling this build the bridge, or will it hand someone a map to detour you? If the answer is unclear, keep it private for now. There will be seasons for confession and seasons for containment. Learn the rhythm. Before we close, remember that silence is not an absence of life. It is the presence of a life being lived internally. When you withhold the unnecessary, you create a room for the necessary to grow louder. Let your actions be the proclamation. Let your steady private work do the loudest talking. There is a strange and profound intimacy in not needing to explain. It is a tenderness toward yourself that will eventually attract those who can value you in the same way. If this felt like a sanctuary for your thought, subscribe to Soul Icon. Come back here when the world gets loud and your edges need sharpening. Like, comment and share this with one friend who needs to learn the power of guarded speech rather than broadcasting pain. Let us be a quiet community of people who know how to keep precious things safe. Go gently, guard your mysteries. Let your life be the soft, steady proof of what you refuse to give away lightly.